Hello, Christina Red Soul. Thanks for tuning in to this live about this very important topic. Let me know if you all can hear me. I'm in a little bit earlier than usual, so uh, and quite a bit late. But yeah, I just wanted to come live for this and just to spew out a few things about what's been going on with this wonderful artist that's been out. And it always takes one word or something taken out of context to ruin your life. So I'll wait a few minutes, and the people that's coming in, people that want to comment, it's going to be to my subscribers only. So I'm not going to upload this. I'm trying this a little bit later than usual. So let's see what happens. It seems like the sound is all right. And I do have a lot to talk about. Come on in. This is Christina Red Soul. Thanks for tuning in. Happy Tuesday to each and every one of you. And I hope you all are doing well. And by this being a live stream, don't forget to get your friends to come in because there is going to be a lot to talk about. I can't promise you how long this live is going to be, but I'm going to do my best because I have so much to talk about. That's why I'm not going to upload the video. I don't know how much YouTube nor Rumble is going to take in regards to allowing me to speak as often as I want. So that's why I'm doing this live stream. And a few other content creators are starting to do the same. So, as you all heard, I mean, as a child, being a Gen X, I grew up on a lot of comic books and comics. So I do remember Dilbert being one of them. I wasn't a big fan of following that comic when it came because my family growing up in Chicago, we were more of Chicago sometimes fans as opposed to the Chicago Tribune. It cost a little bit more money. There were a lot more news. When I was 18, I had the privilege of distinguishing the differences between the two and found out I preferred the Chicago Tribune. My family still read the Chicago sometimes. I think because of the cost. That's what I'm guessing. Because why would you go with cheaper news as opposed to the Chicago Tribune? So that my grandparents would get the Chicago Sun Times, and it included this Dillard guy, this character, this cartoon character, uh, and I vaguely went through it because my favorites were Garfield and what was another one? It was some little girl with puffy hair. I was into her. So I didn't really get into Dillard like that, but I do remember the character. Now, before I get into the beef, what got him canceled, there's a background of how he got into being a cartoonist. So he did share. I had the privilege of watching the complete hour, nearly 20-minute live on what he said that got him canceled. And prior to his career, due to his race and gender, and we're supposed to be a country that's not to discriminate people due to those things, right? But yet, his biggest weapon, just like any other conservative that I've followed for over the last 2 decades, race and gender. So his sin was being white and male. So he shared that before he got into Dilbert, he worked in these. It was like 2 different big banks, major banks. I guess a big example would be Chase and Bank of America. Those are the most nationwide banks I can think of. And they told him flat out, we're not going to promote you because you're a white male. In 2 different occasions. That's how he started his career as a cartoonist. Okay. Fast forward. This man, due to his history, he's the most woke liberal prior to what he said than you would ever know about. And I wish white people would stop doing this for black folks. And I'm gonna come to this after I share a few horrific stories as a result of white people trying to help people of color. He was on. I caught him on a line before I left home from work. Excuse me. He was on a live with Hotep Jesus. Nothing Christ-like about this person, but yet this is the name of his podcast. Scott was on him. That's the original creator of Dilbert. Okay, Scott Adams. Now, if he were so hateful of black people, he wouldn't have come on this guy, because this Hotep Jesus is a black man. He's darker than I am. Came on the live and explained himself. What he shared with this gentleman originally, he said he used to be a Black Lives Matter supporter. I am not. He was a supporter of affirmative action. I am not. He was a big supporter of, that's what he meant by, helping black people. I'm digressing. This is all coming. See, that in the wokeism, they take one little sentence he said and want to cancel him. So they don't know the whole story, okay? This man was so big on reparations as well. He even supported the Kaepernick kneeling. He said he was the only white person, as far as he knew in his circles, that supported that. And you honestly think he was into racist rants? Let's phrase all this together. All this rant, as they said he was into, in his mind, he's like, enough is enough. I'm a white male. I risk my livelihood trying to help Black Americans. In the the form that most people wouldn't even support, including the injustice kneeling. and yet you want to kick me in my teeth. It's like this may be a bad comparison. I'm trying to feed a dog. Oh, better yet, this is a better example. We have a stray cat in the apartment complex I live in. My neighbor takes care of that cat to the best she can. Feeds it, make sure he's warm. As far as she knows, it's a male. And then one day, how do you think she's going to react to that? Like, oh, wow, I tried to help you and this is what you do? So, in Mr. Scott's mind, said, hey, you know what? These are the people you got to stay away from. I'm racist nonetheless. He did a lot more than Trump did. Trump was identified as a racist for the longest time, despite of the fact he's done, and a sexist too. He's done a lot for Black Americans out of the history of this country. He's done a lot for white women and the history and women in general, primarily white women. But I do give it to white women in this election, Black people too. He had one of the highest votes with them. So they weren't completely naive, all right? But yet there are people that still called him racist and sexist. So Scott Adams, he said, and yeah, I saw the complete live. I already told you how long it was. Complete live. He said, you know what? Most hated group. I'm not going to get involved with a hated group. I'm going to leave them alone. Stay away from them. White people, you're into that. Stay the F away. There are a lot of Black people I don't hang around with. I can understand that. They can call him all the names they want. Just like I don't have a lot of people watching this live. Was he wrong? They never say he's wrong. They'll disparage our looks. They'll call us all types of names. But they'll never say we're wrong. And if this guy were like this, would he actually go to a Black man this very same day, go live on a Black man's live to have an interview with him? He said, I never said all. Of course they know he that's not what he meant. But they're trying to destroy him. Okay. He can have his cartoon illustrated in newspaper. They're going to cancel him. Okay. He's got millions. If he wants to make new publications, he has a website for that. So how are you destroying him? You really want to hurt him that badly? Like one idiot on Fox Soul, one of those Black news anchor things. You really want to destroy him? You didn't. I mean, he ain't got no job no more. Well, he's still working. He has a YouTube channel. Okay. So you want to destroy him like that. Just like you want to destroy anybody else you don't agree with. I mean, there's nothing new. I mean, come on. It's just so ridiculous. how people want to do things. And I'm pulling out this pad because I want to go by these notes and the consequences of, speaking of his situation of whites trying to help blacks, okay, that are not even like that. All right. So, there was he passed away last year. I don't know if you can call him a realist, but he was good friends with race realist and nationalist by the name of Jared Taylor. And Colin Flaherty was his name. And he had an interview with a family. I remember this specifically. There were two parts to this interview, and it grinched my heart because this was a family, California, white liberal Gretchen Hart families wanted to prove that they weren't racist, that tried to help this teenage boy, that he didn't appear to be troublesome at first. Okay. So, long story, was a semi-long story because they took him in. His father was the black boy. His father was a cop, and his mother was a single parent. So the family's son that took him in, he said, "Okay, why don't you just come stay with us?" So he did, and everything worked out fine. And they didn't really catch the early signs about this boy. Okay, they were saying what the way she explained it. Okay, after her family was deleted, some of her family members were deleted and injured. That this black boy he was saying things about biracial children, about their genetics and things like that. And the mother said, hey, don't say that about this family and blah, blah, blah. Then fast forward as they get older, they said, the mother is, the father already had a full-time job. So the mother is telling the boys, because he and this, the son, they were close friends. Said, well, yeah, you all have to get a job and pull your weight around here. So they're looking for a job. The black kid gets a job at game shop, one of those big uh, shops, at a mall or somewhere, and he turns it down. First red flag. He turns down employment. And so when he gets back to the family's house, the not only the mother but the boy says, "How come you didn't take the job? You can pull and help around here." And he just told him flat out, "Hey, if you're not working," talking about the son, "no one else is working, I'm not working." So that was the first sign to delete employment. So fast forward, Thanksgiving holiday. The mother was to get some food, go shopping for some Thanksgiving dinner, and her money was gone. So the kids went off to school. Fast forward, they're in city colleges somewhere, and when she realized the money was gone, she waited until everybody got home and that black kid was not there. And so she told the family that the money is gone. And so fast forward, she contacted this boy's father, and she said, "Hey, he stole money from us. We have no Thanksgiving money to take care of the family." And he's like, "Hey, that's your problem. You have to deal with him. I have nothing to do with that." And of course, the boy smiled because he wasn't ridiculed or reprimanded for this. All right. And so, because this boy had to take the bus going to school, all right, from their house because it was easier. This is another thing this family offered to them. And so a horrifying thing happened one night. It was maybe like second week of December. Her daughter, she hears screams from her daughter, and this boy is bludgeoning her and deleting her. Okay. And the mother trying to save the life of the family, trying to save the family, getting these people in jail. As a result, I don't even know. He was on trial, and when they were in court, the mother and the family, they just smiled as if like, hey, that's what you get. Now, if you look at chaos, terrorism with the Dylan Roof and this kid in Buffalo, and how the media takes, pays attention to that. They're both human beings made in the image of God. But yet this family that was nearly murdered, the daughter was, deleted. Black on white, hatred. Second example. There are many other cases, but I'm just gonna go along with the criminal justice system, how they try to, help blacks, get them a lower sentence, get them on parole, excuse me, and things like that. They're like, you just racist, just evil, and all that stuff. And they quit. Those paroled officers were finished with them. But another thing with this, along this same content creator, one night there was a black family that was freezing. They were cold, freezing. Okay. This man decides to get him some food, get him like some oil for heat so they can stay warm, and enough food. Not even, I can't even say what time, like maybe weeks later or something. The same man that was helped by this white dude, black guy, where this guy helped his family, tried to run this guy over. Going back to the cat. Well, after feeding him for so long. Brandon Tatum said earlier that yes, as Black Americans since infancy, that we are told that the average white American hates us, some Hispanics as well. And even from this content and my whole channel, Black and brown people won't understand why I'm doing this because they would assume that the average white person hates me. And if that is the case, so what? Because what God put on my heart is to share the truth. The Lord Jesus was the most hated, and he still is, being on the planet. And I don't want to please man. And maybe that's why I'm not up to 300,000 subscribers just like that. And I'm doing this live for a reason, because I usually just upload my videos. I'm too exhausted right now to just do uploads and things. So I'm just putting this as a live. This middle-aged fella who was emotionally exhausted with trying to help a monolithic group that thought he was evil nonetheless. And he said, you know what? At that time he did that video, I'm finished. I'm staying the F away from you. Does that mean all? Of course not. Does that mean he won't help a black person based on that individual again? Of course not. But as a collective and get into political groups, again, like Black Lives Matter, I don't know why he got involved with them in the first place. Absolutely not. As a collective, understanding the fact of people that hate you, no. And if this gets out, I'm going to say this, if this gets out, this may risk my livelihood. I don't know. I don't know if it was a risk, but it was connected to my job and I enjoyed doing it, but I just happened to work within that community. Working working and living amongst Mexican Americans and immigrants for nearly a decade. That's where I can understand where Scott Adams is coming from. I'm not saying it's the same situation, but I actually got paid trying to help people. These people that deeply hated me. A colleague that I thought was my friend, and Not expecting anything romantically. Not saying there weren't Mexican American men that I did date, but it was, he felt so comfortable around me to say this that of not being attracted to a black woman. And I asked, even if she were Afro-Hispanic. So I have to be cautious. I'm not ashamed of being against illegal immigration. I'm not ashamed with that, with along those lines. And it goes deeper than what he said. I mean, he doesn't have to like a black woman. That's his problem. He can like whatever he wants. And I doubt if he's even married. And if a woman with any type of dignity heard him say that, unless she agrees with him, which is a rare breed, she's not going to go along with him. And that's probably why he's never gotten a date. Sorry. But despite of the fact I've tried hard to help another group, a so-called minority, and we're on to this black and brown crap, and it is crap. Yet I try to help you, and you want to report me every semester because of something you misunderstood, to the point I even sneeze too hard, and you want to report me to my boss over something I said 5 weeks ago that you took out of context. But yet they never do that to, I never hear other instructors complain. Now there was one African Nigerian that that I work with, but she never, unless she chose to keep it quiet, but she never reported anything that she had those same issues. Yet I'm trying to help you, and you want to report me to risk my livelihood. And by the grace of God, that's the only reason I was like, Lord, please, you need to get me out of here now. But I believe that was the Lord's way of keeping me patient. I got to deal with this for 9 years. And I was blessed to teach in a university. Eventually, I got a scholarship, earned a scholarship, excuse me. And from New York and from here to Texas, where I'm making a lot more money. Maybe that was the Lord's way of humbling me like that. I don't know. Because the way they complained about me, I could have been fired. So I understand what, in so many ways, the average white male goes through. One more thing to close with that. With gender, it could be the same way. When I had my first apartment, when I started working with City Colleges of Chicago, I told a gentleman, he was a neighbor. I said, he wanted to come over. I said, well, uh, I really don't feel comfortable being alone with a man in my house. And then when I talked to him again on the phone, he said, oh, you just don't like people in your house. That's not what I said. The same what they say about wokeism. He said, this person said in particular, and I'm glad that black commentator invited him to clarify himself, for him not to be canceled like that. But again, he once again, as I said in the beginning, he's fine. Dilbert will still continue on his website, despite of these liberal newspapers that don't want him anymore. Oh, you just hate black people because you said I'm tired of helping them. That was the understanding. He's not gonna. He said I'm not gonna keep helping people that hate me. And he is identical of a black liberal based on his politics prior. I'm not even close to that. Well, I grew up around black folks. I already know how to tolerate them. How to keep my distance from them. One or two I'll tolerate. Now I gotta deal with a semi-difficult one tomorrow because she thinks she can be bossy, over my position. But yeah, this is where we come to, folks, and I'm gonna leave it at rest at that. And it's almost been 40 minutes. I know you all are catching other lives. It's 10 o'clock. I better get ready to go to bed. And yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. And I don't know how much I can do this, but I just turned it into subscribers just to avoid the trolls of coming on. So, Christina Red Soul, thanks for listening. Pray for our nation and our brothers and sisters under the persecuted church. And I'll talk to you as soon as I can. Have a good night.